Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another Infinity Nikki guide video. In today's video I'm going to be going over my photo settings that I use the most and like my tips and tricks for taking pictures. I did do a camera guide a little while ago, but I feel like at this point it's a little bit outdated because I made this before the game released in the beta, kind of just to show off how it worked and not really like my way of taking pictures. And I feel like in the past couple of months I have changed how I do take my photos and the things that I prefer when I take pictures. So I'm going to be going over all of that and hopefully you get to learn something. Quickly, before I get into all of the settings and stuff that I use, I want to give a huge shout out to Stolas over on Twitter. I used her Twitter photo guide when it came out and it really helped me get a little bit better perspective on taking pictures because there's a certain style that people really like in Nikki taking pictures and she explained it very well, so give her a follow. The ad is at Mother of Stolas. Makes beautiful pictures that you wouldn't regret following, but not everyone uses Twitter, so that's why I figured to do this tutorial as well on camera today. But a huge shout out to them. I'm going to be referencing a lot of their guides, so figure to mention, of course. So one thing that I said in my tips and tricks guide, if you haven't seen that one, I will have it linked in the corner as well. You can go into selfie mode by just scrolling and then it will go into the photo selfie mode, but this will not open like the full camera, and then you can press here to go into the full camera. I have just reset all of my settings, so we're going to be going over everything right now together. One thing I have to say that there is a huge difference between the consoles that you play on. I personally play on PC. I don't play on Ultra, but I do play basically everything on high, so keep that in mind. If you're playing on mobile on super low, you're not going to get the exact same results that I do. Also, I don't know for PlayStation because I don't have one, but do keep that in mind, please. So starting off with the basic in the first tab that we have here. So we have the hide Nikki. So obviously you can take pictures for backgrounds. This is really good if you want to use them as the background cards for your profile. I've used that a lot for the hiding Nikki. Then vocal length help with zoom in. There's also the zoom right here, but they do have kind of like a different effect to them, I think. But you can go pretty far if you zoom out. I do like using the focal length just because it gets so up and close with it. And because I play on the high settings, you can literally see every hair, every strand, every little bit of her face. Like I really like that part, so I do use the focal length a lot. Then we have rotation next. I do like taking my pictures on 90 degrees a lot because I don't have it on mobile, and I do like my vertical pictures over horizontal because I do notice that if I have a full body picture and I want her full outfit on there, then we have a lot of empty space on the side. So other things that I do recommend is sometimes playing around if you're doing like certain poses that you kind of rotate it like halfway. I feel like that really helps out with the spacing of the photo. Next up we have what I think is my favorite setting, is the aperture. So this blurs out the background, and the higher you set it, the more it blurs out of the background. But that also happens if you have it on the strongest and you are really close to Nikki and you zoom in quite a lot, it will even blur out. You can see here the dress, and we're gonna see it in a few bits when I take pictures in the night mode, but that also really affects the sparkles and the bokeh effect, which is like the blurred out glitter that you get. So I really use the aperture a lot, and I feel like that really makes your picture look better. The general rule, if you want your picture to look really professional, you want to have a lot of depth, and I think the blur really helps with the depth because it really brings focus to the face. And some contrast things, but we'll get to that when we're in the second tab. But I really like using the blur because it really just brings out her face. On bottom here we have the grid. I do recommend using this because it just really helps with composition. It's general photography rules. If you want to use certain shapes that look flattering, it's the same way you want to rotate the picture. You can look it up online about photography, but I think it is personally best when Nikki's face is between the top two on either side. Then you'll just have the best way to take a picture. Again, it's kind of preference. I do like to use the raster sometimes. Then at the bottom here we have it for the NPCs and the Eurekas as well. If you want to hide that, can be convenient because sometimes the NPCs are a little bit into the way. Next up, we're going to get to the general graphics settings here. This really makes a difference in your picture, so we're going to be quickly going over all of these, and it really depends on the vibe of your picture because right now she's in daylight, she's wearing kind of a bright outfit, so you kind of want to have like a bright picture but still with like a little bit of contrast. So maybe we should do two different filters, one for like bright and one for kind of like a darker outfit. So let's start off with the first one. The vignette means the blur on the the outside, so if I put it on this side, you can see it becomes brighter around. It's not really that noticeable, but if you slide it, you can do see it. And the other way makes it darker around. It's kind of a darker blur coming from the side. Again, really makes her face pop, I believe. I do like to use it a little bit, but not too much, but I like the way that looks. Then the soft light intensity means the kind of blur that the light gives on her face. I like to turn that personally down because this makes it that the details really stand out once again. I think if I put this all the way up, you can see it has a different vibe to it, but I feel like it blurs it out too much, and I really like the crisp look, and I think that really makes the picture take to the next level. Then the soft light range is for the setting that we just like, I put it on 0, but if you do have it on, it depends on like how bright the blooming actually is, so you can even turn that down a little bit. So I just prefer to put it on 0 myself. Then brightness is obviously for the whole picture. I like to also turn that one down a little bit because it just makes it look really good, I think. Exposure is a little bit different than brightness, but this is more of a saturated spotted light, so it's kind of more like a spotlight that's on her face. You can see how bright that gets if you put that on max, but even if you turn that down, I feel like it also looks really pretty. I don't want to undersaturate the picture, so I'm going to leave it kind of like where it was in the beginning, just like maybe a little bit brighter so her face pops a little bit more. Contrast is a really big one, so this means the difference between the darkest and the lightest colors. As we can see here, if I put it all the way up, the dark in the back gets really dark and our face gets really bright, but if I put that all the way down, it's kind of very matte looking, and that really depends kind of how you want to style it. So I'm going to combine this with the saturation that comes after it, so that's how bright the colors are. This is very like kidcore, go fit, how everyone used to edit their pictures, as you can see. But even if you put it on lower, I think this does look kind of interesting. It really depends on your photo, again, with the vibe that you're going for. So I like to have the contrast a little bit on like 33, and then the saturation, I like to have the saturation a little bit more down because the default is minus 0.6, which if you put it on 1, it's like, it hurts my eyes if I do that. So I do like to put it like on 7. I think that looks quite pretty. Natural saturation is the same saturation, but it's on different effects of the colors. I do prefer natural saturation than regular one because this one is more selective on the colors. As you can see, if I put this one on 1, very like subtle, but it's still nice and bright. But if I put this one on 1, it's like everything gets too much, you know? So let's turn up this one a little bit. Then for the highlights, this is only for the brighter colors. So you know how we had the contrast that just does both at the same time? These are kind of like separate with the highlights and the shadows. I do like turning the highlights down personally because then you can see the colors a little bit better, but the saturation is a little bit high. So let me put it up a little bit, and then the saturation down a little bit, and then the contrast there, exposure down a little bit. See, you gotta kind of tweak it the way you go. And then the same is for the shadows. If I put the shadows all the way up, they kind of go away. It kind of gives that matte look that if you do the contrast on 0, does the same thing. So I'm just gonna turn it down as well a little bit. But that is the general of this tab. I think this one makes the biggest difference in how you take your picture, so don't be shy to tweak around with these a lot. Then for poses, we have different categories, so this is where the camera upgrading comes into play. You can do this on the top here, pressing U or pressing the little icon. You have 3 different ones. You have lightings, posters, and filters. We haven't looked at any of these yet, but you can get these from doing quests, which are kind of like all over the place and should be in the other quest tab, I think that they are. You have to help this guy out, and then he gives you those rewards. You can also get them from the stamp book. I haven't found everything yet, but you don't need to do everything in order to unlock everything, so you can kind of just go as you would like. And there you also get the little upgrade packs in return. I think in the future we'll probably get more added to this because there isn't too much right now, and it was pretty doable to max out. But make sure to upgrade here kind of gradually, I would say. I wouldn't just max out one category first because you kind of want a little bit of everything. Because if I'm honest, I don't think we have that many poses. Like, this is not that crazy. There are ways to get outfit poses, but I also have some criticisms about those because she does do the animation, but you're not able to pause. So if you want to take a picture of a certain frame, you will have to do it like with the timing right. You can only do it when she's done and the idling will start. And then here the bar will show up, and then you can pause and slide around, but it's just her idling. So I don't know how much like crazy that is. Make sure to use the camera if you want to get like a good shot of the dress. Personally, I like taking the picture from really high up because then, especially if she's wearing a big gown or a fluffy dress, then you can really see the skirt well. It's a very good one, I think, to do it from up top and then have her face the camera. But some people find it a little bit more classy if you take a picture with her looking another way than the camera. Again, it's just all personal preference. So if I do a little bit from up high, I rotate the pictures a little bit. She fills out the space very nicely, and if we turn on the grid, you can see she's almost in every grid a little bit, which I think looks quite nice. Then next up is lighting. We have a couple of ones. Again, you can unlock more with the photo camera upgrades. I think my personal favorite is the under head lighting because I feel like it just looks the most expensive, but you kind of have to look at the picture. It's currently daytime, so you don't really see that much of a difference, but when we go to the dark picture, you can really tell. Then for the U lightings, I also think these are really pretty. I just wish some of these colors, because they only have the left and the right, that they were also from the bottom, because again, I really like the way that looks. But if you're going for like a sunset look, this will be perfect. And for the ambient lighting, I don't really use these too often, but if you have a blue dress and you use blue lighting with these, it looks so good. You can also slide these on how strong you would like it. We're gonna turn it up a little bit for this one because I do want to see it a little better. And then in the last category, we have filters. I don't use these too often. I do like using these two the most, and then I always just kind of like slide it down because I feel like it's just a little bit strong if you put it on 100%. Like this is a lot, but like if you turn it down, like that's kind of pretty because the green really pops, so does the dress. So let's turn this one down and take our first picture, and that is done. Now let me show you how to really make a dress pop, because this is just like one picture. Nighttime is a great place to take pictures, I personally believe. So we're gonna go somewhere where it's a little bit more dark, and I'm gonna take out the picnic blanket. If you do not have any of the blankets, you can also get one just by sitting here in the back, and you can just put down your blanket there. But since I have one, we can just put it wherever. Depending on what dress you're wearing, it will flare out, so kind of mix and match and see which one does what, because I think this is like my favorite thing ever. So continuing on the photo settings that I have just used, they look completely different, and now you can really see how the under lighting makes like a difference into the picture here as well. We can also do side lightings, and that will really make the dress also shine. Having Nikki look at the camera here, and we just move the vignette higher, and we're just turning down the brightness a little bit and the exposure to really make the contrast high. Turn down the saturation to make it a little bit more of a serious picture. And then as I said here with the aperture, if we turn it down even more, it will create a bouquet around her dress itself. If you use the ambient lighting, they really give a different vibe, so please don't sleep on the lightings. I just wish we could change what angle like the light is set it, because right now I really like it, but I kind of like want it from the other side. So I'm gonna see if I can tune up the blanket. All right, I'm gonna go with the underhead lighting. I'm gonna take a couple of pictures, I think, because she looks so good. Oh my gosh, it looks so good with the silver gill, and you can kind of see these sparkles in the back because of the blur. It kind of makes it a little bit more magical. I'm also gonna try one with a different lighting just to see what the vibe is like. And again, I like to take them from the top so I can see more of the dress as it goes around. I personally prefer when it fills out the whole picture, but again, it's more of a personal preference. Here's another option with the same item in the same night, but then with a different filter, but then standing up. We do an underhead lighting, so she really pops out. I have the saturation still set a little bit low, and I'm gonna set the rotation to 90 degrees because again, I'm not on mobile. And then you get really the best portrait. I will insert a picture here as well to see what the final result is like when you stand it back up. But turning down the saturation, really high contrast, and having a dark background really makes her look like a real photo and more of a serious picture, if that's the vibe you're going for. So you can see the first one was very colorful and stuff, and then this one is not. I personally like to keep the filter on how I have set it, and then take 1 or 2 or 3 pictures, because I do like to post them on Twitter as well. So if I have like a series of 2 or 3 photos, they look really nice when you post them online. If you do have a Miraland account, I think hopefully these pictures will also really help with taking them. And then lastly, I want to give you one tip on like one of the prettiest photo spots you might not know about. It's on Shrimp Island, or the Stellar Fishing Ground, but it's called Shrimp Island, you know, let's be real. So when you spawn here, you want to walk over to the right, and then here you can see it already. This is like perfect for pictures, and Thank God we got like 100 blue dresses because this works out with so well with pictures. So what you want to do is you can either sit down or go like this. Ambient lighting. And for maybe this one, you want to turn off the aperture. You can enjoy the shiny ocean in the back and it looks so good. I absolutely adore the way this looks. Playing around with these settings a little bit, turning the aperture like a little bit higher so we have a little bit of a more sparkly setting. And we have our picture with our eyes closed accidentally, but you know what? I kind of like it. That is very pretty. But I must say, I think the vertical pictures are still my favorite because I just feel like for whatever reason it looks better just with the composition. I think they said that they're working on vertical for PC as well and that we don't have to do the rotation, but until then, do use it when you have it. And then finally, let me really show you my other favorite like hidden photo spot. It is in fact in the Warp Spire in the Realm of Nourishment. The Realm of Nourishment has the prettiest flooring. Look at the floor, okay? The prettiest flooring and has the prettiest backgrounds here. You can even just pose in front of the portal. You have the perfect background. You can go a little bit to the side here. You have the perfect background. And also if you go in the middle here, which is my favorite thing to do, with our current settings having the best lighting. I'm gonna change the vignette a little bit and the brightness. Putting up the contrast a little bit. Having like the little bit of soft light density and then making sure I use the filter that I prefer, kind of like this one. And I think the poses where she looks at the camera, and again from the top down view, and then blurring the background. Look at those sparkles in the back. You cannot beat this background, I think, personally. So don't sleep on this realm to take your pictures in. Let me also do a few vertical ones again. Because of the blur, it blurs at the bottom of the dress. And again, having that contrast really makes your picture pop. I'm just repeating myself, but you can see here, depending on the color scheme, the day and night, it really makes a difference in the way that it looks. Even though you're kind of applying the same rules for all of these things. So here we have another picture. I will flip them and put them on the screen so you can see them a little bit better, but I think it's such like a pretty difference. I really hope this guide wasn't too long and it kind of helped you out getting a little bit better of an idea of how to do all of this a little bit better. But high contrast, the sharpness is really important, and then seeing how you want your saturation depending on the outfit is like the peak to make your fits better. I really hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you haven't already because I make Nikki and other fashion game videos, and I also stream here on YouTube, so come say hi sometime. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a great day and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!